Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. Gold at $1,500, silver at $15 in 2021. Really? Should you sell? Let's explore. That is the headline of this opinion editorial from Kitco. Fascinating indeed. The gold market continues to hold critical support above $1,850 an ounce. However, according to one market analyst, it might be only a matter of time before this level gives out and investors see lower gold prices. In a telephone interview with Kitco News, Carly Garner, who is the founder of the commodity brokerage firm DeCarly Trading, said that there are a lot of mixed technical signals in gold and silver, but ultimately she is bearish the precious metals as too many investors are discounting the U.S. dollar strength. I believe the U.S. dollar is bottoming, so any rally in gold and silver should be sold, she said. Wow, that's quite a strong statement, especially with what's happening around the world, but here in the United States, especially with quantitative easing and talk of yet more stimulus, a fourth round of stimulus to fight the coronavirus. So this is a very strong statement. It kind of flies in the face of what most other analysts are saying out there. But nonetheless, there is quite a possibility, and I will say it is interesting with these types of predictions out there. People begin to wonder if maybe there's some of this to try to drive public sentiment one way or the other to sell or to influence the markets using media. But you know what? We never know for sure exactly what could happen in the future. So make sure that any type of gold and silver you buy with the understanding that it could go down. Garner said that the yield differential between the U.S. and other countries will continue to provide support for the U.S. dollar. And she could be right, because many other nations are doing the same types of things with market liquidity. The Federal Reserve is not expecting to raise interest rates anytime soon, but even at their current levels, they are still a lot higher than negative yields in Europe, she said. I think we're probably going to see a lot of foreign investment dollars come into the United States to buy treasuries and maybe even stocks. That should hold the dollar. It's a very interesting analysis. Investors are looking for the most bang on their buck and are going to want U.S. treasuries. So not only are U.S. bond yields remain attractive compared to the rest of the world, but Garner added that Monday's news that Pfizer and BioNTech could potentially have a vaccine for the COVID-19 virus means that the U.S. economy could bounce back quicker than some economists are expecting. We talked about that in a prior video when we talked about the price of silver and gold going down dramatically. She goes on to say that people are ready to get back to life. Everybody wants to do it safely, but people really want to get back out there and live their lives. The news of a vaccine is going to be a major boost to confidence in the economy. Even if we don't see it until next year, well into next year, it's about that boost. You know, as I've mentioned many times in prior videos, the market is fickle. It reacts emotionally and it reacts irrationally as well. It takes some time from the initial tantrum or exuberance to level and even itself out. And notwithstanding, considering what could be happening into next year with more quantitative easing and more stimulus no matter what, and how quickly this vaccine is distributed, I think that we will see higher prices rather than lower, or at least around the same levels that they are now at the worst. The article goes on to say that as to how low gold prices could fall, looking at historical charts, Garner said she could see prices about 25% from current levels. That would put gold back at the $1,500 level range. She added that she sees silver trading around $15 an ounce, and that pulls us right back to even below levels where we saw pre-pandemic for silver, which means that she probably sees silver as more as a commodity range, and we're just going to go back to right where we were a long time ago, and that's going to be pretty depressing for silver stackers out there if we see it go back to $15 an ounce after what we've seen even before the pandemic, with it rising to $16, $17 an ounce on a regular basis here. It'll take some time to get there. But by some point next year, maybe first quarter, maybe second quarter, I think that's where we'll get there. In other words, back down to these levels that we haven't seen since way before the pandemic. Gardner said that gold is currently creating the same chart pattern from its 2011 highs. Gold prices consolidated in a $300 range for more than a year before selling off sharply in 2013. If you look at gold historically, it has a pattern of really big rallies and then really big sell-offs. And much can be the same, in fact, at a more exaggerated level, even for silver, or for silver for the most part. So there you have it. So it's interesting, I understand her reasoning behind this, but I just don't see this happening. I really don't. And you can't help but wonder what's driving the sentiment. I guess it could happen. We want to be realistic about the prices for the metals. Obviously, it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway, that whenever you make a purchase, you never know. It could go down. It could go way up, but it could go down. It could go considerably lower. And that's the kind of thing we're dealing with. And we're now at a level here where we're starting to see these markets move and pattern here where, hey, they're going up. Well, except for silver. Silver actually went down, which is the opposite of yesterday's video. I talked about, that anomaly where silver rises and gold drops. Well, it looks like that's reversed course here today, where gold has gone up and silver's down. Platinum and palladium are up, but those metals are. You know what? I forgot to answer the question if you should sell or not. That's up to each individual, but I would not sell on this news. For sure. I look at gold and silver as a long-term holding, but depending if you believe it or not, I would say hold on to your gold and silver. Now, there's obviously times where if you feel like you've bought a bunch at a good price and can profit from it and put that money back and wait for lower prices, some people do that. That's how they buy. It's part of their normal process. But I would weigh everything that's going on in the world today, and even with a vaccine and the effectiveness of it, because people do question that, because, essentially, this is a version of the common cold or flu, and there's really no cure. There's no vaccine that is going to be a fix for all. It's going to come back in some manner or form in some ways, but also just the idea of why we hold gold and silver anyway. We hold it not necessarily to sell it when it's convenient, but we hold it for times of economic instability and stress. And so maybe the idea is, would you consider selling some? Maybe you could set aside a portion of your stack for situations like this where you can play with it in the market, so to speak. But in many cases, when people do that, they typically get into the ETFs. And that way they're working with it with high liquidity in that kind of area. So those are the only ways that I would consider selling. So there you go. So interesting news here today with the markets. Post your thoughts in the comment section below. Very curious to see what you think about where the prices are going. For me, I'd love to see $1,500 gold again. I'm not so keen on the idea of $15 silver, though. I think we need to have some level, something that's going to give us some confidence. If it goes back down to $15 an ounce, a lot more people are going to lose confidence about silver as a hedge, in my view. We'll see how it all plays out. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch this video, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.